I have a question about the energy going up to the head because last week I felt I felt the energy move up to my head again. So that's the second time it's happened. At first I thought I was getting a headache, which I don't really get, and I don't really get headaches anymore. So I was like, oh, what's caused that? And then I realized it wasn't a headache because the pressure in my skull became quite big, and it felt like my skull was like being blown up with a bicycle pump, and there was like more and more pressure coming. Um, but both times it come up to my head, I feel it like in the crown, but inside the skull, and then at the third eye, it feels like it wants to like push out. But this time it was a lot in the kind of crown area. But I have never felt it like come out of the top of my head yet. Um, and then it was like that for a few minutes, and then it went. I felt that it kind of went back down, and then I get this thing where I have like almost like an anxiety over swallowing, like an inability to swallow. I get a little bit. I was like, why is that happening? I get a little bit panicky, and it's like I have to kind of almost think myself through a kind of swallowing motion. And then it's gone. So it seems to like move up, put a lot of pressure inside my skull, and then move back down again. But my question is, well, what is that all about? But how do I get it to, because the ideal is for it to come out of the skull, right? But it feels like it's like can't kind of pop out.
Right. Right. Yeah. So this can be difficult. It can be confusing and frustrating and physically uncomfortable at times. Um, I just want to acknowledge your clarity in being able to discern between head pressure and headache. That's
Yeah, it was quite
admirable.
different. It was quite different because at first, because I used to get a lot of headaches. Um, so I was thinking, why have I got a headache? I hadn't drunk any wine recently or anything like that. And then I realized, no, it's not, because I could feel a very different kind of pressure, and it was in a very specific parts of my head there and there. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, keep leaning into those skills, and I invite everybody to see if they can cultivate similar skills to be able to discern the subtleties in experience. And that way we can also find clarity on ourselves. Sometimes we do have a genuine headache, a migraine, sometimes it's something else. So that's a good skill to have. But overall, the energy in the long run, its intention, yes, is to open the crown and move through. But when you have the experience of it moving into the head and then going back down, it doesn't mean that like something is wrong or anything like that. It makes its way in phases, in stages, gradually over time. For most people, it doesn't happen in one shot. If it does happen in one shot, I could say that my experience was this way as well, though even my experience happened in many phases over many years. But I did have an experience where it blasted through my head in a very rapid and intense way. And I had 6 months of fallout afterwards because it was so intense. So in some respects, you can be a little bit understanding and appreciative of the gradual sort of slow and steady process that you're going through, and not feel this urge to want to accelerate it or push it or anything like that. Either paradigm, they're both difficult. Whether it happens in one shot, you have a lot of fallout after. If it happens slowly, gradually, it can also be difficult. So I want to acknowledge that as well. Um, just know that the energy knows what it's doing. It's not that like it's trying to do something and it reaches your head and then it goes, oh, Claire didn't do enough of the work. Got to go back down. It's not like that. Every time it makes its way through and you feel something, something is being cleared, something is being activated and upgraded. Even on the way back down, it's very efficient energy. So even on the way down, it's going to do something or the other on the way down. And that's why you may feel a little choked up or something arises emotionally. So just know up and down, the energy is going through. I like to think about it's like, in a sort of symbolic way, it's like our central channel is like a dirty pipe. And this is a flood water moving through up and down. It's cleaning out this pipe like a pipe cleaner. And so back and forth, it's doing its work. So nothing to worry about here. You can, of course, take care to cultivate like more meditative presence, eat well, cultivate clarity by doing your part to support the process, but don't feel as if this is all on you. This is God, and God knows what I like to say she is doing. The Divine Mother knows what she's doing. You just trust and surrender, and all will be well.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I did think, oh damn, it's kind of got up to the head, and then I haven't, it's not kind of done it properly. It's gone
Yeah.
back down. I was like, oh, what? And then I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah, just surrender and just surrender and trust that it has its own agenda and plan. And one paradigm I can share is that just to get us to zoom out here and see that there's a very large unfolding here. Other things need to fall in place in our life before we have certain shifts in our own inner process. So, for example, our relationships may need to enter into a new phase. We may need to encounter the right book. You may need to have watched the right talk or the video so that when these things happen, you know immediately what to do or what's next, or it makes sense. All the pieces need to fall in place externally as well so that the internal process can carry itself out. So I hope that's clear. I know it's a little confusing. You don't want all of this to happen internally and have nothing in place externally. God, the universe, the divine, the Kundalini is also placing things externally in your life. The right books will be, maybe at the bookstore, the videos, your algorithm on YouTube, it's all getting set up so that the moment you need the right thing, it's there in place. So you don't want to rush anything. Let it all unfold according to the divine plan. Intense
Yeah.
process that involves every dimension of our lives, not just the inner process with our chakras, every aspect of our lives. So we don't want to push one aspect without the other one. We let it all unfold according to the bigger plan.